is going on, everybody? Silver Scrounger here, and today I wanted to talk about coins, how they are minted or struck, and specifically how errors and varieties are caused. Most of these are going to be errors, but I may or may not touch on varieties on this one, and I'm probably not going to get into all the different errors that are known, just some of the major ones that I've been seeing a lot of people asking questions about. But we're going to talk about how coins are struck in a very rudimentary way using Play-Doh. And these are going to be my dies. So we'll see. But before I get started, if you guys are enjoying the videos, please hit that like button. Give me a thumbs up. And also hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and that notifications bell so you know when I post more videos. So without any further delay, we're going to get right into it. Alright, so we're going to have a little bit of Play-Doh fun here. We're going to imagine that this sheet of Play-Doh is the sheet of copper or zinc metal that the pennies are made out of, and this is what happens when they make the planchets. Basically just comes down and cuts it right out of the sheet, so you end up with a planchet. Now that right there is one of the errors, I guess you can call them, a blank planchet, basically where there's no stamp put onto it, no design, nothing on there at all for the penny. Now, the next step that happens is this planchet gets loaded into where the dies are. So basically, you'll have one die on the bottom. The planchet will sit down on top of it. The other die will be pressed down, basically like this, and it'll just come down onto it. So let me get it to where it's supposed to be centered. Then it just comes down and presses down into it. And just like the Play-Doh, if you can notice, it fills in the spots that are raised on the die. Then when it comes up, this wouldn't be stuck in there. It would come out like that, and you got your design on both sides. So there you go. That's basically the way that a penny is made, or any coin, honestly. After the die is designed and manufactured and whatnot, and installed into the press and whatnot, and then it hits the planchet and does that. So quick and easy. That's the easiest way to explain it. Now, for post-mint damage, what that would be is when it leaves where it got pressed and everything, where it got struck. If it goes into a big bag and then another coin smacks it, and leaves a little indentation like that, that's post-mint damage. And this is what I was talking about when another coin hits the face of another coin, especially when it's got a reeded edge like these half dollars do. But when they strike it, it'll leave impressions like this, and some people will wonder if that's some sort of a mint error, and it's just post-mint damage. If somehow something comes along and scrapes it, that's post-mint damage. Or something happens and it's bent now, post-mint damage. Just all kinds of different things are post-mint damage. There's what people call dryer coins, or something like that. Let me see if I can find something that'll work. Basically, somehow it gets stuck in somewhere and just sits there and spins and rotates and let me see if this will work. And basically causes something along the lines of like that, where it's spun out or it's really worn out in one spot, or it could be all around on the outside and the center is still good. Basically, that's just more post-mint damage. So that's something that you need to be aware of, because that will just be damage and it will not help the grade of the coin or the value. Alright, so I didn't trim it up all nice and neat and everything for you. I figured this will get you to give you the idea. But we got where we're making our planchets. We got one set right there. And then another one, for some reason, when this clears, let's see here. This, for some reason, on one did not get shot out, or the plate didn't move enough, and next thing you know, you have a clipped planchet. That's what that is. Somehow it didn't, the plate didn't move enough, or something happened where maybe one got stuck in there and on top of it, and it came down and clipped it again. All sorts of different things could possibly cause it, but that would be what is considered a clipped planchet. And then when your design gets punched into it or struck into it, you still have the clipped planchet and your design is running off into that area. So this one is kind of easily faked just by doing it yourself, just going over, you have a regular penny or whatever, and then you just go in and you chop it out. One of the biggest ways to tell if it was done wrong or whatever, if it wasn't an actual error, it'll look flat. The only way that could possibly happen is if they tried to punch out a planchet on the very edge of the metal that they're punching them out of. But 99% of the time, it's going to have the exact same radius as the coin. Just so you know. Alright, on this one, we're going to talk a little bit about off-center strikes and misaligned dies. So, off-center basically sounds exactly the way it sounds, or is exactly the way it sounds. It's off-center, like that. But the biggest thing to make sure of is to make sure that when you are thinking it's an off-center die, it looks like this. I'll show you. Oh man, come on. Gotta get it out of there. Not messing it up too bad. So, if you look, you got this big old crescent moon basically looking flat area in the same spot on both sides. That is the only way to tell that it's a off-center strike. Now, if it was a misaligned die, it's going to look like this one that I'm about to show you. Again, I'm just showing the whole time how it happens in the strike. It's not anything that happens after. So you got this one that looks pretty center, right? But you flip it over and you got one that's way off. Now this is a little bit of an exaggeration. A lot of times when something is a misaligned die, it's going to be just noticeable. It'll be, more like around in that area, something like that. You'll definitely tell it's off, but it's not on both sides. So that would be a misaligned die. Basically where one is here, the one on the bottom is there, and then this one, when it comes down, it happens to go like that instead of it being directly on top of each other. It's off a little bit. So that's a misaligned die and an off-center strike. Now, what was I going to do with these two? Oh, a true double die. I can't show you with this one. I'll have to show you at another time when I can find something that'll work as a doubled die. Because what a doubled die is, it's basically you'll have this design doubled. It'll have the same double, like shifted just barely on the die itself, so that when it strikes, it has a doubled look to it. What I'm going to show you real quick is what a machine doubling would look like. Basically, it would, when the die comes down and it goes to start pressing, it starts and it's got a little bit of the design in it, and then it rotates and finishes the press. That's one direction, or one way. And then you can see, let's see if we can zoom in on this. You can see right there, a little bit, it looks like it's a doubling. Well, it's not. Which is what we have here on this $50. So it doesn't add any value to this thing with how all the mechanical doubling or machine doubling or whatever you want to call it is in there. It doesn't add any value. The only value that this specific $50 has is the silver content that's in it. So there's a good example of mechanical or machine doubling. Another way of showing it is when it goes to start pressing and it shifts and then it finishes its press or strike. That's when you can definitely tell. And the best way to know that it's a machine doubling is, let me see if I can get something that's a little sharper for me to point with. This whole area right here looks flat. At the same time, the outline here is smooth. It's the same shape all the way around. There's no serif, I think it was called, to it doesn't look like it's splitting any. And the same with here. It's very smooth outside, but you can definitely tell there's a different one there. Let's see if I can kind of show what I'm talking about as far as it being split. I'll have to do a press. And then do it again. See if it'll come out right. There we go. Now, this one and that one are the ones that will, well, let me get it to where you can see it first. This one and that one are the ones you can really tell it. On a double or a machine doubling, it's not going to have all of that going on in it. Same with the top there, and down here a little bit. But typically it'll look more like that. There we go. That's the way it should be. To where it looks like there's truly two different ones there. Same with the top here. But anyway, that is basically how a true doubled die would be, because the die itself would have a doubling on it, and it would only press it once. I only did it twice so I could try to mimic the look of it. So a die crack, basically it looks like a little line that goes in through the coin, and what happens is the die itself has got a crack in it. So when it presses, it should end up having a raised line on it. Just like that. Let me zoom in on that for you. Let me get you, just like right here, you can see there's a little line right where I cut in onto my little fake die. So that line right there is right there. So that's a very basic and easy way to say what happens for a die crack. And you'll notice the line is raised on the coin itself. So that is going to be a good indication of knowing that it's a die crack and not a gouge. That would not be a die crack. That would be someone gouged it somehow, or another coin struck it, some sort of thing like that. So, and then there's always scrapes that happen that'll flatten out certain areas or whatever. That's also postment damage. So just so you know, those are some things to be aware of, I guess, to look for. Is when you're looking for die cracks, it's going to be a raised little line in it. Well, hopefully this video has helped out a little bit for someone to be able to start recognizing a few different things as far as what postment damage is, actual errors that are done at the mint, and all the other different things I covered. Also, I know this video was a little bit longer than usual, so I apologize for that, but there was a lot of things to cover, and hopefully I was able to answer some questions and help someone out. But other than that, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here and enjoy my weekend, and I really hope everybody else has a great Labor Day weekend as well. Until next time, this is Silver Scrounger saying, have a great day.